lot of pies to make for the upcoming holiday season, then you'll want to know our secret to making the perfect pumpkin pie crust. So first off, we know how much everybody loves eating pie during the holidays and during Thanksgiving, and there's really nothing worse than having a less than desirable pie sitting on the table in front of your family. So I'm here to give you 6 tips on how to make the perfect pumpkin pie crust for your Thanksgiving and for the upcoming holidays. So tip number 1, know what you need. Besides the perfect list of ingredients that you get at the grocery store, you want to make sure that you have the perfect pie crust for your pie. So first off, it needs to be 14 inches around, and then it also needs to be 1/8 thickness, and then that is going to be the perfect pie crust for your pie. So tip number 2 is prep your workstation. So whip out your DoughEZ mat here, and then set up your guide rails. You'll want the guide rails to be 1/8 inch for the pie crust, and then 14 inches wide. And then the best thing about this too is there's no floury mess, so you won't have to worry about having flour all over your workstation. So tip number 3 is to roll out your dough. I already completed mine here, and trust me, it's easier than it looks. And you'll just start with a ball in the middle of the mat, and then from there roll it out, and you'll have the perfect thickness for your crust. So this rolling system is really great for at-home baking. So this rolling system go wrong with getting the perfect amount of thickness on your crust. So using these guides and this mat really helps allow for that perfect pie crust. Tip number 4 is to transfer your dough into your baking pan. So you'll just pick up the dough here, place it into the dish, and then if you want that classic pie look, just make sure you push down the edges around the dish, and that's really gonna help the crust have that really nice look around the top edges there. So tip number 5 is to blind bake the crust. So I already have my crust placed here in the dish. I set my oven down here for 375. You'll want to place this in the oven for 25 minutes just to make sure that the crust gets flaky and crispy before you go forth and put any filling within the pie. Lastly, tip number 6, take the pie out of the oven, and then you'll place foil around the edges of the pie just to make sure the edges don't burn when you put that back in the oven. So you'll put the foil around the edges. Mine's still in the oven here cooking. Once you put it back in, another 20 minutes, and then you'll take it back out, and that's when you'll put the filling in the pie. So after you take the pie out of the oven, you'll have the perfect pie crust. You'll put in your pie filling, put it back in the oven for another hour, and then as you can see here, mine just got out of the oven. It looks perfect, perfect pie crust, perfect pie, and your family is going to love it for the holidays. Thanks again for joining me and listening to my 6 tips on how to bake the perfect pie crust. If you want to find out more great content on baking and baking tips, please feel free to like and share and follow our pages for more helpful baking information. Happy baking!